Now on to our last, but certainly not least, presentation. I'd like to ask Wendy Askew, Channel Development Manager at ETD at Money Euro Institutional Investor, to join us on stage to present their ta-da! Bet you that woke me up. Bot. Wendy won't be presenting alone on stage today, as we have Matthew Cheung, ipushpull CEO, joining us as well on stage, as the ta-da! Bot is powered by ipushpull. Last time I'll do it. Welcome, Wendy. Welcome, Matthew. I'm really excited to show everyone what you did today.
Thank you for having us, Joe. Matthew and I are really excited to be here today, and what a great city New York is. It's wonderful to be here. ETD, previously known as Euromoney Trade Data, is a leading provider of futures and options reference data. We are part of Euromoney Institutional Investor Group, a global B2B information services company which focuses on data, analysis, and market intelligence with customers in over 160 countries. The audience might not know, but many of the institutions here today are already consuming our data, with 9 out of the top 10 Tier 1 banks globally using our reference data, especially our symbology, the most comprehensive in the market. We have unrivaled coverage of the exchange-traded universe, with over 110 global exchanges covered. And my role is to work with partners like Symphony and ipushpull to innovate how reference data is used to help improve the efficiency of organizations. In a recent survey at a large custodial bank, ops teams spent 40 to 45% of their day getting data out of systems for clients and customers. And that time was broken down as 30% taking customer queries or client queries, 30% of time finding that data, 30% of time normalizing that data, and the remaining 10% managing that process, which is crazy, right? It's using humans as APIs. And this shows the majority of time, communication is still very manual, using email and spreadsheets, which means it's slow, inefficient, and I think everybody knows here, it can be quite painful at times. And this is where the TaDa Bot excels. It allows chat-based queries with real-time results on the Symphony platform, giving you the ability to search, communicate, and exchange data instantly. And this is what we're really excited to show you today.
That starts out pretty crazy. But it sounds like the TaDa Bot has some great potential to help people's workflows. Before we hear more about the bot, Matthew, can you tell us a little bit about the tech and how it came together to make Euromoney Bot together?
Yep, sure, Joe. Thanks for having us both here at Innovate. ipushpull's actually been at pretty much every Innovate over the years. We're really excited to be on stage at this one here today. So ipushpull is a no-code platform, and we enable real-time data sharing and workflow automation across the financial markets. And from the moment we sat down with Euromoney to understand their vision of the bot and the tasks that it needed to do, it took us only a few weeks to take that idea and that vision from the drawing board to a full production service. So we're really proud to have ipushpull technology powering the TaDa Bot.
A few weeks is really impressive, Matthew. Wendy, can you tell us about what problems you think the TaDa Bot will solve?
Sure. The problem is simple. Let's say Alice in the customer relationship team takes a call from a client about a trade exception. She doesn't have access to the data or applications to hand, so she needs to speak to Bob in the settlements team. Sounds simple, right? So Alice calls Bob, but Bob's away from his desk. He's doing other things. She emails, but this is going into a shared inbox, so she's not sure when her query is going to be answered. And it's not uncommon for an ops department to receive 5 million emails like this every month. I sure as hell wouldn't like an inbox like that, let's face it. But because Alice doesn't have access to the same data and applications that Bob does, she just has to sit there and wait, and nudge, and call, and send a, as per my previous email, I think we've all sent a couple of those in our time. And this may go on for the next 6 hours, chasing a simple data request. It's this lack of availability and immediacy of data that the TaDa Bot delivers, allowing Alice to fetch the data herself instantly. This improves the agility of organizations through real-time data access and reduced reliance on human communication. Importantly, it will also help Ops Department achieve their T+1 settlement goals that has been set by regulators and will need to be achieved by the early part of 2024.
2024? That's not that far off. Seems like your organizations definitely need to start looking at their processes now. TaDa Bot really sounds like it has the ability to help and make a lot of people's lives easier. So how does it all piece together, Matthew?
Well, the ipushpull technology behind the bot is very exciting. So we're providing a no-code integration into a very large database. And that means that new data sets, new bot commands can be rolled out in minutes and hours rather than weeks and months. And that also includes granular access controls, audit, reporting, and so on. So this meant that the development process, as well as the connectivity to the data, was highly efficient. And that really is the game changer for the accessibility of data. And we're thrilled to be able to enable that. So let's look at a typical query for corporate actions. Let's imagine that Alice has been speaking to her clients and they need some information from Bob. She has a query about an Italian footwear company called TODS, and then she's having troubles checking for any upcoming corporate actions. So she goes and asks Bob if he knows of any.
This scenario is quite common. Reference data, including corporate actions, is typically delivered via SFTP or API and used to enrich internal applications. Users don't have access to this data directly, so it can sometimes be difficult to search for what they need or to see whether that data is complete or correct.
So I've got Neil Weatherall from ipushpull down here to help me with the demo. His first time in New York. So let's see how TaDa can be used quickly to resolve this corporate action query. So back to Bob. So he decides to use the TaDa Bot to search for upcoming corporate actions. So Bob can connect to the bot by searching for it in the Symphony directory and connects to it just like he would with a human user. And can bring up the search form for TaDa by typing menu. And then you can see that will return some preset queries available for corporate actions and holidays, and also allows the ability to search for particular names. So Bob then searches for Todd, the Italian shoemaker, and finds some corporate actions for next week. And the TaDa Bot returns everything that Bob might need, including event types, effective dates, ISINs, Symphony cache tags, and a link to the original notice as well. And in this case, the original notice was in Italian, and TaDa provides an English translation. So users like Bob can have a one-to-one conversation with TaDa, or they can add TaDa into a group chat. So now that Bob has retrieved the information he needs, he can go back to Alice, but before he does, he wants to check another piece of data just in case. So he thinks the effective date of the 25th of October actually might be a holiday. So he goes back into TaDa, asking for any holidays at that particular exchange, which is IDEM, the Italian Derivatives Exchange, and it returns there's no holidays. So all looks good, so he goes back to Alice with the data confident in his answer that and pleased that he could help out so quickly. So now Alice wants to use TaDa for herself. So she can go into the Symphony directory and add TaDa, but now let's assume, like we've got on the screen, that we're playing the role of Alice. So Alice now wants to check for some new contract issues coming out in the next week because her teams have asked her to do so. So she hasn't used TaDa before, so she types help and it returns a help menu. She goes through the different commands that are available and she can see the one she needs. So it's NC next 7, so new contracts next 7 days. And TaDa then returns the results. And the team have actually asked her for this in Excel as well. So again, she goes back to TaDa and TaDa can provide the results inside Excel. And you see that Excel spreadsheet there. So later on, Alice then noticed she's actually got different details for Todd's, that Italian shoemaker, for her post-trade confirmations. She wants to check if Figgy And if you're not familiar with that, that's a financial instrument global identifier. So there's a number of searches that she can do. So she looks at the help menu again to check what she can search for. And in this case, it's the series figgy data set. So she uses the command foot figgy. And you'll notice here that Alice is using the bot command, but she could also be using the menu or the elements form like Bob was using before. So she types in the command foot figgy, followed by the contract TOD in this case. TaDa has then returned all of the relevant data, and she now wants to narrow it down to get the results she wants. So she searches again and adding the maturity of the contracts, making the results even easier to read. So now she's resolved her problem. She's not had to speak to anyone else. It's purely self-service. She's not having to wait around for another department to help her.
This is really impressive. Is all of what we've seen available today?
Absolutely, Joe. Just search for TaDa in the Symphony directory, connect, and start using free for a month.
And then coming soon, we've got watch lists for individual securities and customized notifications. So imagine again, Alice and Bob are compiling a watch list of stocks that they want to monitor. They can pass these into TaDa to create a watch list. So this then allows them to do two things. They can ask TaDa at any time for an update on those names in the same query language. And they can simply ask TaDa for watch list names, and it will return the results. And soon they'll be able to receive customized notifications. So any new data, like a new corporate action or an event, matches their watch lists, then Symphony and TaDa will send a message directly into the chat room with all of the full details. So they can be used with clients, or you can even give TaDa directly to a client.
I'm sure users will definitely appreciate those features. So how did this all get started?
We wanted to enable clients to use our best-in-class derivative reference data in new, more agile ways. We chose Symphony because of the technology that powers the communication platform for the largest network of financial institutions globally. Our ETD technical team and Symphony worked really closely together with customers to get user feedback, which was then rapidly incorporated by ipushpull. This collaboration allowed us to create practical, usable workflows that our customers would be able to rely on in a fully functional and well-tested bot.
This is definitely a game changer for accessibility of data. For those in the audience or watching live that use reference data, hasn't this looked fascinating? The efficiency gains alone are reducing time spending chasing data queries will be huge. Wendy, what's the feedback been so far from the clients that you're engaged with?
So many of the clients who have concluded their proof of concept will be going on to take the TaDa Bot for their own internal use. And they've seen huge reduction in the amount of time spent on data retrieval. This will also help them to achieve their T+1 settlement goals by 2024. We've also had requests from our users to be able to white label that for their own clients so that they can actually go out there and find their own answers to their own queries as an added bonus for utilising that organisation. And we've also had feedback during the proof of concept for more data to be added. We will be adding the full universe that we have, our full catalogue, as well as cash securities and fixed income to our corporate actions data. We will continue to evolve this bot in close collaboration with our clients to make sure this is something that's usable and something that's practical.
That's great to see real live feedback actually having an impact.
Yeah.
So Matthew, what's next for tech?
Well, TaDa is a novel way to access reference data. So it's utilizing bots for real-time chat-based queries, which will improve the efficiency by orders of magnitude. So we've got a full product roadmap with TaDa with future releases, including the customized notifications and watch lists like we were just talking about, dynamic buttons and forms, and to minimize context switching, we've integrated TaDa with Symphony's ECP embedded chat directly into Excel. And we're working very closely with Symphony to further improve customer experience.
Thanks, Matthew. Wendy, any final comments from ETD?
Yeah, ETD are so proud to have worked in such close collaboration with Symphony and ipushpull to create a chatbot that really brings our global derivative reference data to life. We would love to see what TaDa can do for you. Search for TaDa in the Symphony directory, connect, and start using a free trial version for a month. We would love to hear your feedback. And thank you so much for having us here today. It's been brilliant. Thank you.
Give a round of applause. Thank you, Matthew and Wendy.